One of the biggest fears that I get from people when I talk about mentoring others is, but I don't know how. What am I supposed to ask? How am I supposed to do this? I don't know how to do it. Well, the book provides some guidance for how to do that, but I want to take some time just to focus on what I think is the most important skill. And that is the skill of good question asking. But it's not just good question asking for the sake of good question asking. It's good question asking for the focus and desire for their spiritual development. It's a big difference just to ask a bunch of random questions in order to get some understanding. And it's another one when you're asking questions in order to help shape their understanding of how they interact with God and how they can navigate and implement their faith. And so as you mentor others, think about what does this person need to grow in their assurance, their dependence, their interaction with God. What things are they telling me that might distract them from that? What things in their life might they be engaged in that is harming that relationship? What things can I ask them about to get them to think about more positive things that would draw them to the heart of Christ? In all those things, if you enter into your discipleship time, your mentorship time with prayer, as you're driving to that meeting, as the person is coming over to your house, as you're picking up coffee to go meet with them at a park, be desperately prayerful for God's Spirit to speak in and through you. When we talked about praying without ceasing a few sessions ago, this is a time where you can be acutely aware of your prayer time with God. In fact, if your prayer time and your prayer thoughts interrupt your thoughts about what that person is saying, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So if somebody's talking to you and you're like, God, I don't know how to reply. I don't know what questions to ask. I don't know how to interact with that. And in that time, you go, oh, I forgot what you said. Simply pause. Or I missed what you said. Simply pause and say, I'm sorry. I was praying because I want some guidance from God in how to talk to you about this. Can you repeat that? That will say to your mentor and remind your mentee, I should say, that should remind your mentee that you are giving guidance out of a desperation for God. This is a very good thing. And you are seeking His guidance and His mentorship as you advise them, as you question them. And so that question asking is significantly important, but it's question asking with the goal of deepening their understanding, their relationship, and their engagement with God. And so for some of you, what does this look like? For some of you, you're just natural question askers. And so you need to make sure that your questions are motivated in the right direction and you're not just asking questions. So going into that time prayerful, God, help me ask questions from a heart of wanting them to develop their relationship with you. Some of you, you're terrified about what to ask after the first question, which the first question is, how's it going? Right? Well, now what? Now what? It is perfectly okay to write down a series of questions and bring them with you. I know that feels disingenuous, but it's not. If your mentee sees that you've taken time, say, I've been praying about this meeting. I've been praying about my time with you. And here's what I've thought through. Here's the questions I want to ask. Then you're communicating with your mentee that outside of this time with them, you've really thought about and prayed about your time with them, showing them the value that you want to make of this time and that you see in them. And so sometimes it's asking questions, sometimes, or writing down questions. Sometimes it's talking to your mentor or somebody that you know to say, hey, I'm dealing with this with my mentee. How can you help me process this? Can you help me? What are some good questions? Here's some things that I see are points of tension, but I don't know how to get there. Here's some things that I want to say outright. Should I say those? And dialoguing with somebody else about that. And then once again, you can come back to your mentorship session and say, hey, I was talking to a friend of mine, or I was talking to my mentor about some of this stuff. Remember, if it's confidential, keep it confidential. But you can be pretty vague with some of your guidance that you're getting from somebody else. And I was talking to them about it and really saying, I want to help you develop in your faith and your understanding of God. And I was having a hard time. Here's some of the tools that they gave me. Here's some of the questions that I want to ask. Again, it will show your mentee that you care about them and you're navigating this more than, oh, you're here and it's Tuesday night. That's right. You were saying, remind me what you were talking about last week. Oh, okay, let me ask you some questions. It shows a developed concern and love for them. And so in all these things, there's a lot to good mentorship. And again, it's found in this book. Make sure you take time to evaluate your mentorship and saying, am I a mentor that really cares for my mentee? Am I somebody who's praying for them? Am I somebody who's invested in their life? Am I remembering what they've said from last time? I mean, thank the Lord for a phone. Because there are many times where I get out of a meeting and right away I have somewhere where I can put in information that they've shared with me because I know I'm off to work, I'm off to this. In about 4 hours, I'm going to forget. And I really love this person and I want them to know I'm thinking about them and I want to be thinking about them. So I can type in right away. And sometimes even in the meeting, I go, hold on, I need to type that in so that I remember it. And that can be a recall. Okay, hey, last time we talked about this, I've been praying about this. Can you tell me how that's going? So there are a lot of tools in this, but I want to leave you with this whole thing that I talked about being a good question asker, about being a good question asker with proper intention. If you notice throughout your reading of Jesus's life in the Gospels, this was Jesus's MO. He was a fantastic question asker, and the questions were always drawn to a deeper understanding of a spiritual truth, of who God is, of even a rebuke that people had to realize on their own. Jesus was a great question asker with the intention of spiritual development, of rebuke, and all out of love. So, as you mentor others, be like Christ.